Call the Policies Priorities Committee meeting to order for Monday, July 14th. Take approval of the agenda, please. Councilor Norberry.
Thank you, Mayor. That all items in the July 14th, 2025 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting agenda be approved as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes for June 9th, 2025 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councilor Noxana.
That the June 9th, 2025 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Dussault. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. On to delegations, HD Mining International, Jody Shimkus, advisor, and Norman Johnson intends to present to council an update on the Murray River project. And I see Norm wasn't here, so, but I wasn't sure.
Graham Hall is going to join.
Okay, perfect.
Acting mine manager. Apologies, somehow my music has turned on my computer and I have no idea why. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here today. As I mentioned, Graham Hall is here with me. He's the acting mine manager. I'm Jody Shimkus. I'm an advisor at HD Mining. I've worked with the project for 13 years and had the privilege of being in front of you several times. First, on behalf of the chairman of the company, Mr. Yan, he wishes to thank Mayor and Council for all the support that you've given the project. In particular, the recent substantial start determination that we received from the BC Environmental Assessment Office. The letter of support was received very gratefully and I think had a very significant impact on the decision to get substantial start granted. In May of this year, HD Mining made the difficult decision to pause construction activities and return the site to care and maintenance. This is due to a variety of reasons. The tariff situation and some of the global financial uncertainty play a key role in that. We've had challenges even just bringing up some equipment from the United States. We're also facing additional challenges getting equipment that's utilized in Europe approved in Canada. So given some of these financial uncertainties right now, they've decided to put the project back in care and maintenance. That was effective July 1st of this year. We've been doing the activities necessary to put the site back in care and maintenance, and I maybe ask Graham just to speak to some of the specifics around the sealing of the portal and you know, the more safety-related items. I wanted to advise council that we will continue to maintain safety and security at the site. We will meet all of our existing permit obligations. That includes ongoing monitoring at the site in accordance with our permit conditions. And we've developed a comprehensive care and maintenance plan which has been submitted to the Ministry of Mines as required by our permit condition. We will also continue to manage, of course, the residences at 100 Southgate and make sure that they are maintained to a well standard. We, of course, hope that we will recommence. Mines, as you know, come in and out of care and maintenance quite often. So if the situation changes, we will come back to council and notify them of our restart plan. So that is the update that I wanted to provide on care and maintenance. Is there any questions, council? Did you want to ask about whether or not, you know, the activities that go into care and maintenance or not?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you very much for coming in and giving an update to council. I know I was aware of it. Met with yourself and Norm, was aware of what HD was planning to do, and obviously here is a delegation. So I appreciate you coming in and updating council and obviously the community. So questions from council. Council Norberry?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for coming in. It's unfortunate to hear the news, but I appreciate you sharing that with us. I know for the last few years, we've been beating the HD mining drum. I'm excited about the project, but can appreciate your issues. I had a question regarding your permits. One of the issues, you needed to get this substantial start, by the end of this year, I believe, to still maintain, I believe, is your environmental permit. Is that in danger with this closure?
No, it's not. We received the substantial start determination, and that allows the project, we have another 10 years to fully construct and be operational. So we met that deadline with the activities that we undertook during construction. And as many of you know, even our bulk sample activity had a substantial amount of work attached to it. So, when we come out of care and maintenance, it is relatively easy to move back into construction.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. 10 years, that's the good news there, that you guys have some time. I did have a question about getting your equipment approved in Canada that you're looking at from Europe. Is that a Canada issue or a British Columbia issue?
It's a British Columbia issue.
Okay.
We are working with the Ministry of Mines, but it is taking, I will say, longer than I think we expected. But yeah, we have a monorail system at the site, and that is used in Poland, at underground mines in Poland, and we're working on a certification process for that with the Ministry of Mines.
Got you, thank you. Because a lot of what we do is advocacy, and this seems like a perfect opportunity to advocate. We're always hungry for some way for we can advocate for our industry and in our community, and especially when you hear tariffs, we definitely want to strengthen those connections with Europe. So this seems like a really easy one for that. So those were the two questions I had. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Got a couple. BC Hydro, how's that working on from your side? I know there's some concerns that maybe not enough power on the grid to be able to actually electrify HD when they do come operational?
Yeah, and that is a real concern. We've been having some very constructive discussions with other operators and owners of infrastructure in the area. I can't go into a lot of detail right now, but that part of our strategy is to look at existing opportunities for power in the area. And then we'd have to go to BC Hydro to talk about, any required interconnection studies. There is a real concern, though, Mayor, about the availability of BC Hydro power. We're hearing that, from other operators, that as far as getting in the queue for new power requirements, that could be a challenge. And you spoke about advocacy, Councillor Norbury. I appreciated the council, or your staff reached out and asked for the upcoming UBCM, the key issues that we're facing, and power was one of the issues we identified, as well as the equipment issue. So we've provided them with some details on what our concerns going forward are, and power is one of them.
Okay. Yeah, and I know staff reached out, and it was in one of our agendas there. So, we'll advocate. We'll be making a meeting with BC Hydro, but we need to make sure that, if another mine comes on site, that we have power.
Yeah.
Especially for that one. What's the plans there right now? You talk about having security on site. I believe they're running off a generator, a diesel generator. Are you trying to electrify that out there, or is there power there for that?
No, we're running off generators.
Okay. Okay, and with going into care and maintenance, you mentioned it in regards to Southgate. Any plans with that, with you guys going into care and maintenance, looking at usage, or just going to keep them locked down?
We'll continue to dialogue with yourselves around that. The ambulance service is operating out of there, and that arrangement's working well. So, we've always been willing to have the discussion should there be a community need that needs to be addressed in the immediate term. But right now the plan is to, because we do continue to have contractors come to do maintenance at the site. And Norm and Graham are at the site alternating as well. So we do need to use those houses, but if there's an opportunity to support the community, then Mr. Yan would like to have that discussion.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and HD has been great with that when we reach out, and if there's something available, you guys have helped us out. We appreciate you guys being part of the community when you can help us out, whether that's with nurses or doctors or BC Ambulance. So we really appreciate that working connection there. So we'll work from our side when it comes to your power concerns and then the equipment as well. I know you had a concern earlier, and we did meet with Northern Health during the NCLGA. I know there's supposed to be some information coming back to us in regards to that, on why they classified that as a camp and stuff. So we're just waiting for some more details before we can bring it back to you.
I appreciate that because that is a real concern, that they made that determination contrary to what the Environmental Assessment Office did. So we will be pushing for further dialogue on that. I should also mention on the power matter, we are looking at trying to secure power during the care and maintenance period.
Okay.
So it's not just for operations. If there's a way that we can get off diesel and, find a power source in the care and maintenance period, then that is attractive to us as well.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Anything else from council? Anything else you want to tell us?
Nope, just again, a real big thanks for the support around the substantial start. That was a key decision for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. When you come back in or when you guys decide to go to a start and you guys need help, just again, reach out to staff.
Yep.
Come back in and visit us and stay in contact. So thank you very much.
Have a great evening, everyone.
You as well. Okay, next up is Johnny Malcolm Foundation, Becky Fleming and Kevin Pittman in attendance to request council to waive ice fees and fees for rooms 4 and 5 for a hockey camp to be held on August 28th to the 31st. Welcome. I am going to declare a conflict at this time. I believe it's a perceived conflict. I've helped get some of this stuff organized and stuff, so I present myself as being a conflict to sit into the delegation. So, you can use my agenda if you want.
I'm totally going to mark up your agenda. All right, go ahead.
All right, good evening, council. As Mayor Kakauka said, we are looking to waive arena ice fees, the curling rink dry floor, and the curling rink lounge, and also meeting room 3 for the dates of August 28th through August 31st. This is going to be for a hockey camp coming to town. So I should probably start off with Johnny Malcolm Foundation. If you guys aren't familiar with us, we are a nonprofit organization started in 2019. We do fundraisers throughout the year, raise money, and put all that money back into youth sports in Tumbler Ridge. So we were approached to help out with this hockey camp that's coming in August here. And we're trying to minimize the costs as much as we can so that we can put as much money back into youth sports in Tumbler Ridge.
All right. Any questions from council? Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Chair. Not so much a question, just a comment. I think you guys are doing an amazing thing, especially after coming off of the Johnny Malcolm Foundation golf tournament, which was not too long ago. I know that the Kodiaks reached out and they're not available to do it for us this year, which they normally do. And a volunteer organization such as yourselves who also volunteer in other organizations in the community are willing to step up. So I just want to say thank you. And I know for myself, the best way to reward volunteerism and the efforts that you do is to do our best to support you in all that you ask. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for putting this on. It's a big boon to our community. Thanks.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you. Just curious if minor hockey is involved at all.
At this time, minor hockey is not involved.
Okay, thank you.
They are supportive of us, however, I know because I'm also on the minor hockey board, so they are, they were there to ask questions if there was anything else that they can do to support us, but it's pretty Rink, if you are unaware of them, they're based out of Kelowna, so they're coming up to put on this hockey camp for us here, which is amazing. But yeah, if there is things, they were pretty open to helping out as well. So, yeah.
Councillor Roxano.
Thank you. Do you know approximately how many youth are able to take part in this? Obviously, you don't have numbers exactly yet, but
We do have
what's the
numbers, yeah.
what's the expected turnout?
So we have 4 divisions, correct? Yeah, and each division can have 22 players and 3 goalies. And so we did open registration on Friday. And I know that like we're starting to fill spots right away. Like we just posted on like the minor hockey pages kind of off the get-go, and then like we'll kind of start advertising because we wanted to give Tumblr folks that kind of first in if they would like it, and then to put it out to Dawson as well as Chetwynd or whoever wants to travel for it. Yeah,
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up question. Would it go out to other communities? Thank you.
it will, yes, absolutely.
Great.
And everybody else asked all the questions I was going to have, so I'm good on that as well. I see, we won't give you an answer here right after the delegation, but we do have a special meeting after our policies and priorities meetings, and you guys are on that
Yeah.
agenda. So somebody, I'm assuming Ms. Scott, somebody from staff will let them know of the decision of council after a special meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And I know in the agenda, it did state, like, the arena and rooms 4 and 5. Like, there was a little bit of confusion, so we are going for the curling rink instead of rooms 4 and 5. So, like, we are going for, like, the arena, the curling rink for the skills, like, dry ice, as well as, like, the curling rink lounge, just for a couple hours throughout the day. And then rooms 3, kind of in the afternoons of the day. I do have like the full breakdown of like the invoice that we kind of got from the district. But yeah, that's like, any help would be amazing because like we are able to offer this camp at a very discounted rate in general, so.
Will out-of-town guests be charged, like will our locals be charged the same amount as the out-of-town?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Scott, do you have all of the, I know when I looked at my agenda, I just don't remember all the stuff, so what Ms. Fleming's talked about, you have that all listed of what they want versus, because Ms. Fleming was talking about rooms 4 and 5 versus the curling rink kind of stuff?
The manager of recreation has provided me with a couple of different invoices with a couple different breakdowns of different room scenarios.
Okay, so we'll have all that information for the special meeting. Thank you. Anything else from council? All right. Well, thank you very much for coming, and like I said, staff will follow up with you.
Awesome.
very much for
Thank
your
you so
time.
much.
All right. Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Naomi Skukla, Tara Forrest, and Yvette Lazzie are in attendance via Zoom to discuss the unregistered trails in treaty land entitlement, the TLE parcels. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. I'll just introduce myself and the team, and I'll let the team make the presentation. And I'll be here to support. My name's Alana Schroeder, and I'm the Regional Director of the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation. I work out of Fort St. John in Treaty 8 territory. I'm actually calling you today from the Lekwungen-speaking territory in Victoria, where my kids and family are visiting with Grandma and Grandpa. So I really appreciate you accommodating us virtually and being able to attend. I'd like to come and be there in person. Just didn't work out this time. With me today, I'm not sure if Yvette has been able to join us, but Tara Forrest and Naomi Saukila are on my team, and they'll be presenting. Tara will start with a bit of an overview and background. We have been to the district of Tumbler Ridge and community before to present on land transfers to Treaty 8 First Nations. So we're going to give a bit of an overview of that background again for anyone who's new to it as a refresher, and also a bit of a status update of where we are at in that process. And then Naomi will be presenting on something more specific and of a newer selection that we've just opened up for public engagement and would have prompted us reaching out and connecting on this meeting. We sent a letter introducing these new land selections, one of which is in Tumbler Ridge. And we are here to discuss. We understand that there's some trails in the area, and we'd like to hear from you to learn more and talk about next steps of how we continue to engage and work together. So I first just want to say thank you so much for making time for us on the agenda and accommodating us to join you virtually. And we hope that we'll have an opportunity to meet you again in person in the future. So Tara will share her screen and introduce herself, and then hand it over to Naomi. Thank you.
Great, thanks for that, Alana. Yeah, as Alana said, so my name is Tara Forrest. I'm a Senior Resource Coordination Officer with the Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation. And I'm calling in today from Fort St. John within the traditional territories of the Treaty 8 First Nations. And these lands, which have long been cared for by the Daneza, Cree, and Saulteaux-speaking peoples in their roles as stewards of the land in the northeast of British Columbia. So we're here today to share some information about the land transfers and to listen and to learn. There will be opportunities. I think Alana may have just said that there will be opportunities for comments today, or there is also a period of time that's available for comments on some of the parcels that we have coming up. So we wanted to share a little bit about the context of the land transfers before we get into any of the specifics. And I'm just going to toggle. You'll see me toggling back and forth between my screens here. So actually, I should just check in and make sure. Can everybody see the presentation that I'm sharing on screen?
It's pretty small if you can expand it. If you can, it's fine. We'll be able to listen to it. But yeah, it's pretty small on our screen.
Oh, it's looking small. Okay, give me 2 secs. I've got a really giant screen, so I will just make this bigger.
And Tara, if you put it in presenter mode, yeah. There you
Is
go.
it better? Is it better now, or is it still small? Because I may need to change the resolution on my screen. My apologies.
What, council? Can you, if you can try to make it a bit bigger,
Okay.
Miss Scott, if somebody can just turn maybe a couple lights off. Might help us
Sorry,
with the
this
eyes.
will just. Sorry, guys. This will just take a moment. I might need to get my colleague Naomi to share. That might be easier than me trying to figure out how to toggle my screen. Naomi, would you be able to share instead? I can just tell you when to advance the slides.
Yeah, that's much better.
Awesome. Thanks, Naomi. So we can go into slide 2. And so, yeah, before we talk about the specific Tumbler Ridge parcel, I just wanted to share a little bit of background about the transfers. And I understand there's going to be opportunities for questions later on. So please keep track of your questions. We're happy to get into questions when we get there at the end of the presentation. MUR is transferring lands for 2 reasons. One is for treaty land entitlement, and that's to make up for the land that was promised but not fully provided when Treaty 8 was first signed between 1900 and 1914. The other reason is to accommodate for the impacts of the Site C project on Treaty 8 First Nations treaty rights. There are signed agreements now for both treaty land entitlement lands as well as for Site C lands. And these transfers are really demonstrating the importance of reconciliation with Treaty 8 First Nations and the first expansion of reserve lands since treaty was signed. First Nations are also able to choose the lands, and they can choose the lands for a number of different reasons, such as for economic, conservation, cultural, and spiritual reasons. And then we can go on to the next slide. The treaty land entitlement lands are being provided in a couple of different ways to Treaty 8 First Nations that have the treaty land entitlement agreements. The province is transferring TLE shortfall lands to Canada at no cost. We're also transferring ATR additional lands. So ATR is addition to reserve. So those are lands transferring as reserve lands to Canada. And the additional lands as ATR and fee simple lands, which are transferring as private lands, are transferring and being purchased by the First Nation. The province is also transferring lands for Site C as fee simple lands at no cost. And fee simple lands are private lands that remain under provincial jurisdiction. This map is sharing the lands that we're currently aware of, the lands that have been selected so far. So these are lands for both treaty land entitlement as well as tripartite lands agreements. And because some of the parcels are very, very small, we've added buffers so that they're visible. So what that means is that what you're seeing on the map looks actually a little bit bigger than the selections actually are in reality. The province has been engaging with external groups since 2016, 2017, and providing regular updates to the Northeast Roundtable, which includes stakeholders from all across the Northeast. We've also been working to engage with local government and offering open houses and smaller interest group meetings. We've also completed a What We Heard report, and that's for the parcels that we've already engaged on. So between 2016, 2017, and about 2021, the province engaged on a number of parcels and did quite a bit of work and then produced the What We Heard report. The parcels that are in that stakeholder report are now in the implementation phase of the land transfer, and we'll touch on what that looks like in a little bit. On the next slide, actually. So the land transfer process, there are a number of main stages, at different stages that we move through in the land transfer process. The process is quite lengthy and it can take quite a long time from start to finish. And I know that sometimes, we'll engage over quite a long period of time, and there may be periods where people don't hear what's happening, but we do have ways of sharing updates and that sort of thing. So we do try to keep that up to date. The process itself includes, at the very beginning of the process, the First Nations identifying the lands that they have an interest in, and they share those with the province. When they do that, the province conducts a status of the land and all the information that we have available about that land area is identified, including any kind of overlapping interests, existing tenures, and those types of things. And at that time, we initiate reviews with all of the provincial agencies, consultation with First Nations. We reach out specifically to tenure holders, any tenure holders or interest holders that have specific rights over the land receive letters from the province. And then we also engage with third parties and external parties, including the public. So that all happens in the status of research and selections. And then once we have identified proposed approaches in order to address all of those overlaps, we move into reaching the agreement on the final selection of the lands. And that's where we then start to move in. This is where we would produce, for example, a What We Heard report that shares all of the information, and all of what we've heard from stakeholders is also shared with decision makers at that time. And then this is where we move into the implementation of the parcels for transfer. And that includes conducting surveys of the parcel and then doing the actual steps to resolve the overlaps. And that could include things like amendments, cancellations. In some cases, we would exclude, for example, a highway going through a parcel is going to be excluded to remain as a provincial corridor. And potentially to replace. So in some cases, if it's transferring to Canada, for example, existing activities can be replaced so the interests continue on the land after the transfer. And then the land transfers, and it either transfers in fee simple under the Lands, Parks and Housing Act, or it transfers to Canada under the Land Act. So in terms of the status of the land transfers, at this time, Blueberry River, Doig River, Halfway River, and West Moberly First Nations all have TLE parcels that have moved into the implementation stage for transfer. And West Moberly also has some outstanding area that they can select from because there is a certain amount of land in the TLE lands agreement. They haven't selected their full amount. And that's something that we'll be talking a little bit about today. And then SODO has TLE and Site C land selections that are currently in consultation and engagement, and they're getting closer to moving forward into implementation. Halfway Site C agreements are getting in process for transfer. And Doig River, West Moberly, McLeod Lake, and Prophet River all have Site C agreements, and the lands still need to be identified. So those are ones that will be coming sometime in the future. I'm going to rush through the next few slides very quickly, just because we want to make sure that there's time to talk about the selection in Tumbler Ridge. So the province has so far transferred 6 parcels to Blueberry River, Halfway River, and West Moberly First Nations. We also have implementation priorities for a number of parcels. And like I say, these do take quite a while to work through. So we're working our way through the steps from survey through the resolution of all of the interests for these parcels that are listed here. We can share the presentation after this. And we also have a number of priorities to transfer parcels in 2025. And these are the ones that are the closest to, right now to being transferred. And there may still be some steps. So we're not at a space where they're necessarily transferring right away, but we believe that they're close and we're working in the final steps for these parcels. So I think we could take a couple of questions now on the general kind of land transfer process, but not too many questions because we do want to make sure we get to the Tumbler Ridge parcel. And Naomi Sakila, my colleague, is going to take over that part of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions in regards to the process from council? Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to be clear, lots of information there. And it may not correspond to what we have in front of us, but for TLE additional and TLE shortfall, are those both federal, like reserve land versus TLA Site C land, which would be fee simple?
Right, thank you for that question. Maybe we could just back up to that slide, Naomi. I always find the visual really helpful. There are a couple of different ways that the treaty land entitlement lands are transferring. So we do have the shortfall lands, which are transferring to Canada. Okay. The additional lands are transferring in 2 ways. And so some of the additional lands are transferring to Canada as addition to reserve, and some of the lands are transferring as fee simple. There's a certain amount of each type of land in the lands agreement. So the nations are selecting from the amount of land they have for each type of transfer. And then Site C is all fee simple, and the nations have the opportunity potentially at a later time to apply to Canada to have those made into reserve, but that would be a completely separate process from the provincial process of transferring the Site C lands.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council on the process? All right, we're good on this end.
Okay, we'll go over to Naomi. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Tara, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us. Like Tara, I'm also calling in from Fort St. John, from the Treaty 8 Traditional Territories. And we're here specifically at the request of Council to present specifically on the parcel that's in Tumbler Ridge. And as we indicated in the letter that was sent earlier, West Moberly has a quantum that is yet to select, and these are called outstanding lands. And I have listed them all and also included a link to the Engage BC website where the maps and the KMZ files for these, for each of these 13 parcels are. So again, as I indicated, we're here to discuss the Tumbler Ridge parcel. This is within the district of Tumbler Ridge, and it's 62 hectares. And this parcel is scheduled to transfer as fee simple. So we have included what we found through our land analysis as trails that we should discuss today, because we noted that some of those trails too are untenured, and we're interested to have this discussion to know the approach to these trails. And I don't know if you can see, we tried to identify some with the arrows that on the screen. So probably I will go back to this parcel and then invite discussions or questions about this.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Thank you for sharing the maps and all the information. In my experience, as best as we can to sort of create polygons and shading, sometimes the actual, what's actually represented isn't always reflected in the shading, but I can see there's some, you've tried to do your best. My only comment is trying to orientate myself a little bit so I can give a good explanation. But there's a bird sanctuary to us. It's at the end of Bergeron. That there is a that trail that comes off off of Bergeron that kind of heads out, and there's a sign that says bird sanctuary, and that would be my only comment about that area. I do appreciate how you've left us some, that some area has been left off at the end of Bergeron heading out to the golf course road. A lot of residents use that, so thanks.
Councillor Oksana.
Thank you. I do have concerns, not concerns as much as would like to have the conversation about upkeep on the TR trail. I think there will be a little bit of overlap in this polygon. The TR Point Trail kind of goes out the bottom of this map, but there is a connecting trail that goes to the golf course, which would be that top corner. And it is a trail that is used fairly regularly by residents in Tumbler Ridge. So I don't think it's a major concern, but more that we would probably like to have that conversation with West Moberly if they were taking on these lands, that there would still be access to these very popular trails.
I'm just going to ask if, because some of the people are easier to hear than others, depending on how close, I guess, to the mics. So I wanted to confirm, you said the TR, and then I missed the name right after TR something trail, so.
It's the TR Trail system.
Oh, the whole system, okay.
So the TR Point kind of goes out the bottom of this map, but I believe the connector trail that goes to the golf course would kind of go up near-ish that purple line. It sort of follows the river towards the golf course. And it is a very, very popular trail with local residents and visitors. So just making sure that there's still access, and whether the maintenance is taken on by West Moberly or continued by current user groups. But want to make sure that we have that flag to have that conversation as things move forward.
Okay. Do you have a sense when you say it's a very popular trail, like in terms of numbers, or if there's like a particular season of use where it's a higher use? I mean, I imagine obviously depending on, I don't know if it's also used for snowshoeing or other things, or if it's more used in summer. But because we want to explore options and have that conversation with both West Moberly and yourselves jointly, whether to exclude the trail from the parcel or if there's some kind of arrangement for ongoing access. Those are all things we need to negotiate. And so if the more we have in terms of understanding about how it's used, can help us have those conversations.
I would say more used in the summer, but there's definitely people who still snowshoe and ski or hike in lower snow years in the winter. But I've seen hikers, bikers, and horseback riders all on that trail system. It's, I believe, designated for non-motorized use. There might be a trail counter on it. That is data I don't have in my head, though, that we can maybe get. Some of our local popular trails they do have trail counters at the trailhead that track the
that's
use.
useful to know, give us a sense. Are all the trails, like some of them are untenured, and so we kind of have a guess at them here in our mapping, based on basically the satellite imagery, but is there existing mapping of the trail network, like through like a GIS exercise, or is it, and who currently maintains some of these trails?
I'm not sure who maintains this one. It would be between the district and the WNMS, but all the maps are held, I believe, by our visitor center or the local geopark.
Okay.
I wonder, is there a way to confirm what's on the ground and where that trail connector is?
Yep. We have locators for it too. So I'm assuming it's an unregistered trail, but it is a trail that is well used by residents of Tunbridge, but also visitors. It's a well-used trail all summer long. Just before I go back to Councilor Knox, are you guys planning to come and do an open house in Tumbler Ridge?
We are
We-
definitely open to it. We don't have anything scheduled yet, so
Okay.
we wanted to start with the information and get a sense so that we're also prepared for the types of questions that we might receive and to plan that as well. Summer is also a challenging time for open houses because so many people are away and traveling. So we haven't got anything scheduled, nor do we have any like approvals for the funding of it and everything like that, but it's definitely our intention to support those.
Okay, because we could definitely get the information in regards to the trails and the GPS locations of them and see if there is a trail counter on the TR Point trail, but there is other trail systems throughout there as well.
Okay.
And that's why I asked about if you guys were planning an open house, because I think it's important for our residents just to be able to, I mean, they can zoom in and listen to this and see it as well. But even, we have great dialogue with our First Nation neighbors with West Moberly. So it's great, even hopefully they would attend as well. It's just really, really important to make sure that we have a pulse to make sure that, if these trails, if there's an issue there where the trails are because they're not registered or whatever, we need, from our side, we need to make sure we have that engagement. So an open house in Tumbler, and I agree, summer traveling and all that, but I'm not sure how quick this process is going to be for this parcel.
Yeah, we're still definitely in that earlier stage. We're still working through like also consultation and things. And we'll have to discuss, obviously, we'd love to work with West Moberly on delivering an open house. There's a chance that maybe they want to lead that on their own first. So, and I know they have a strong relationship with you. So we'll relay that and convey the interest. So what I'm hearing is there's a trail system that like the visitor center has a map of, and that you have trail counters and sort of documentation, but that there's other trails that are probably not depicted here and that may not be documented or registered or recorded, but used. And so an open house will provide that opportunity for locals to share that information, so we could get a better sense of where those are.
Yeah, and I can't promise a trail counter. We'll have to find out if the non-for-profit organization has a trail counter on that one. Again, Councilor Knox, I wasn't sure either. But there is, I mean, there's, you know, I mean, that's been used by residents for a long time. So whether that's a hiking trail at the TR Point, but there's other trails that are used by motorized vehicles to access getting out of the community. Not that it's the biggest thing, because there's other trails or there's other things we're working on, but just to have that dialogue on it. And then the other thing is, my understanding, and I'm not sure if staff has mentioned, but there is some infrastructure underneath the ground there. Gas lines and such underneath there. Are you aware of that?
We have some information. Tara and Naomi, do you have the information? Because we have anything that's like permitted by the Crown, but obviously it's in the district, and so that's part of our process, but I think that's information we need to collect. Tara or Naomi, please correct me if I'm wrong. You're more in details.
I would just say that we do have a team in one of the other ministries, Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, and they do quite a bit of the land research. So they might have some more information about that, but also sometimes there are things that aren't captured in our search. So having those things flagged to us is really helpful. So we'll make a note that there's some potential gas lines there, and we'll raise that with our colleagues in WLRS. And I don't know, Naomi, if you know specifically for this parcel, if anything like that has come up.
Not quite, no.
Okay, I know the town can supply some of that because we've had some of the work done down there to know where they are. So we have them, I believe we have majority of the mapping for it. So I know.
Okay, great. So we could work with your administration, your staff to collect that information?
Yeah, Ms. Scott, our CAO.
Okay, great.
Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that this summer we are currently widening that road, the golf course road as well. So I'm not sure how large that right-of-way is for the road, but that'll need to be adjusted accordingly, I guess. And just looking at this parcel, like, it makes sense because of the 100-acre wood parcel as well. It's right up against it, so it would make a very easy and accessible residential area if possible or needed. But in speaking with West Moberly and Soto in the past, I don't believe that they're planning on putting any gates up at any point or limiting any access to any trails. I don't think was any of their intentions. So definitely in support of this, but I just wanted to mention about widening the road and the open house. I think it would be very beneficial to have both the ministry and West Moberly in attendance at the same time, just to avoid two different meetings. Everybody all in the same place, ready to answer questions. It's much easier, I think. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
Appreciate.
Yeah, appreciate that for sure. I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You're currently widening the trail or the road?
The golf course road.
The golf course road is currently, okay.
It's within the,
Yeah,
yeah,
within the
sorry.
right of way, okay.
Right away, yeah, it's within, it's not gonna hinder the parcel selections. Just there is some infrastructure with gas and stuff that go through it.
Well, it's always useful to hear, what kind of upgrades are being made. We don't get to go down there as often as we'd like in person, and we look at a lot of maps in our job, and would love to be on the land confirming as much of it as possible, but we don't always get that opportunity and really rely on the communities to help keep us informed. So we really appreciate that.
No problem. Any other questions, comments from council? Okay, it doesn't look like there's any more questions from this side or comments. Again, an open house. I think that's going to be really, really important. We will be able to have, probably get some information through our CAO, through to you guys, but also reaching out to the Wolverine Nordic Mountain Society to see if they have a trail counter, but they'll have the GPS coordinates and stuff like that on that trailhead.
The
And
trail counter's just info if available, it's appreciated, but if that's not critical, but having any GPS information and yeah, we'll follow up with your CAO and we appreciate that. I think we've just quickly shared here too, we are going to work to schedule that open house, but if you start receiving questions from the public or comments, in the meantime, you can direct them to our website, and on that website, it has the special email address, and we are accepting comments and information from any member of the public through that email. So obviously the open house will be to come, but in the meantime, you have a place to direct concerns and questions. So I just wanted to make sure that was aware, because I know that your constituents may come to you first, and that you have an avenue to direct them.
very good. We appreciate that there's an avenue to direct people to it. Okay, anything else from council? All right, I think that's everything. I guess we'll look at, again, we'll get you the information that we have, and then we'll look to engage more in regards to an open house and such, and then we'll pass on your information if residents ask questions, so you'll get the questions or the concerns that maybe residents have with certain trail network back there, just so we all know what it is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and for having us, and your staff for coordinating with Naomi to get us on the agenda this evening.
Yes, thank you very much for attending so quick too. So we appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
Here comes some lights. Life Saving Society at BC and Yukon branch. Linnea Grace, Executive Director, in attendance virtually, to present the proclamation request for National Drowning Prevention Week. I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much
There you
for that. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Linnea Grace. I'm the Executive Director for the Life Saving Society BC and Yukon branch. And first, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to your meeting today to tell you a bit more about National Drowning Prevention Week, and to request that Tumbler Ridge does make a proclamation declaring National Drowning Prevention Week from July 20th to 26th this year. Before I go on any further, can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, fantastic. For those that are not as familiar with the Life Saving Society, we are a national charitable organization that is working to prevent drowning and reduce water-related injury through our training programs, water smart public education, drowning research and aquatic safety standards, and more. You might be most familiar with us because we are the certifying body for Canada's national lifeguards, or perhaps you've taken a life-saving program or one of your family members has, and grown up through our program taking bronze medallion, bronze cross, and hopefully eventually becoming a lifeguard after that. National Drowning Prevention Week is our leading public education initiative across the country, with events taking place to focus media and community attention on the drowning problem and drowning prevention. Canada faces a major problem and a very preventable one. Each year, over 450 people die from drowning. And in fact, the drowning burden is so great around the world that the United Nations General Assembly passed a UN resolution on drowning prevention and has named July 25th of each year as World Drowning Prevention Day, which falls within National Drowning Prevention Week. Canada has also chosen National Drowning Prevention Week to run on the third week of each July, because statistically that is the time, unfortunately, when most drownings occur. So during this week, there are a number of events throughout BC and Yukon, as well as the rest of the country, and within your area of northern BC as well, that are focusing to bring attention to this problem and urge the public to prevent it. You'll find the society urging individuals to supervise children in and around the water, to refrain from drinking alcoholic beverages and substance use while participating in aquatic activities like swimming and boating, and especially to wear a life jacket when boating. If every Canadian followed these steps, we could greatly reduce Canada's drowning rate. We believe that proclamations from communities, municipalities, and districts from across BC and Yukon give greater exposure to our life-saving efforts to the residents of your community. And we do hope that you consider this request. And so we ask that the District of Tumbler Ridge declare July 20th to 26th National Drowning Prevention Week, and to support the mission of Life Saving Society Canada in preventing drowning throughout the country, as we believe that even one drowning is too many within BC. We've already had over 20 drownings thus far, and we'd like to see that number reduced next year to 0. So whereas most drownings are preventable in a water smart community, and only through water smart education and a healthy respect for the potential danger that any body of water can present, we want to genuinely enjoy the beauty and recreation opportunities offered by these bodies of water. And the Life Saving Society urges Canadians and residents of Tumbler Ridge to supervise children who are in and around the water, to refrain from drinking alcoholic beverages, as I mentioned, and substance use, to wear the life jacket, and declare that whereas the UN General Assembly has passed that UN resolution naming July 25th of each year as World Drowning Prevention Day, and that Life Saving Society Canada has named the third week of July National Drowning Prevention Week, we would ask that Tumbler Ridge does proclaim this week and commend thoughtful recognition to all citizens of your district.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments from council? All right, well, thank you very much for the delegation, and we are having a special meeting after the P&P, and your proclamation will be in that special meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
And happy to answer any questions that you may have as well.
Yeah, there is no questions from council at all, so thank you very much and have a great evening.
Thank you, you as well.
Okay, moving on to reports, ice extension usage, report dated July 14th, 2025 from the Manager of Recreation regarding ice extension usage. Recommendation, Councilor Lake. Councilor Noxana.
The council receives the ice extension usage report for information.
Seconder. Councilor Dussault, discussion. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Business license bylaw review, request for initial input, reported date July 14, 2025, from the Director of Corporate Services, requesting initial input from council for the business license bylaw review. Recommendation, Councilor Julik.
That this report is received for discussion.
Seconder, Councilor Bertrand. All in favor? Carried. Councilor Julik.
Yeah, it seems fairly, well, there's lots of pages there, so of course I read through it. I guess for me, when I was reading through it, I was wondering, like, beyond going item by item, I'm assuming that they're just, staff's looking for some feedback on what pops out at us is.
Yeah, they're looking
Okay.
for if there's something we see or whatever that we'd like to add.
I had a question. Do we still do the multiple community licenses?
Yes, we do, but I'll just confirm it. Ms. Scott?
Yes, the inter-community licenses, yes.
A couple of the things that stood out at me was the license inspector. I wondered if we had anybody named as such, and that they are able to go at any time to check that space, and I'm okay with that. I just wanted to confirm that we actually have somebody that's called the license inspector, so this is just me giving the feedback.
Do you want to know the answer?
No, I'm thinking that this is where the notes are. So if I ask the questions, this is just me giving my questions. I don't need the answers. I just will look at
Well, you're
them.
asking this. It's about if there's other things we want added within the bylaw.
Okay, then I want to add a limitation on how many short-term rentals that we have. And I would like more clarification on special events, mobile vendors, and community markets, and how we can maybe make that process simpler than we have it already. Because I noticed that there was a space for how far a vendor truck could be. You know, and I think about the folks, I think one year at the grad, they had a vendor, like a food vendor truck, which would have been right by, like, would be less, it wouldn't have been 25 meters from the closest restaurant. So wanting to look at some of that stuff. And that was it for my, oh, and the door-to-door solicitations, I noticed that we have allowed none of that, which I'm okay with. I'm just wanting to make sure that does not include kids. I'm assuming it doesn't for when they're doing school things, but just maybe we need to have that clarified. I don't know. So that's just my thoughts for what was there. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else from council that they would like to have input in? I mean, staff has it pretty much set out on exactly the phases. This is an opportunity to have an initial input if there was something that sticks out. Councillor Jibk has mentioned a few things that stuck out for her. Is there anything else from council? Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious if the fees are out of date compared to neighboring communities? Are we cheaper, or, like, I'm assuming we haven't touched them since 2017, so are they out of date?
Yeah, Ms. Scott, I'm assuming that's part of the new bylaw is to have a look at the rates.
Yes, we will take rates into consideration.
Thank you. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, moving on, take adjournment. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor, that the July 14th, 2025 Policies and Priorities Committee be adjourned.
Seconder, Councilor Dussault, all in favor? Carried. 5 minutes.